Howdy folks, it's Wednesday, hump day. Let's do some writing. Okay. Franz waited till Mike was right up to him before replying. Well, we got hit hard and knocked out, Franz said. It was quite a defeat on our part. Something that you've probably seen with your own eyes. Nice. Inflicted and been, yeah, like a nut. I've been the deliverer and the receiver of plenty of things like this, disasters like this. My military career has not been a string of unbroken string of victories. Well, English is hard to manage sometimes. By the way, Frank is his nickname. Not sure what the rule is. Do I use his nickname when he's talking, when it's third person, or just when it's talking to the guy? I don't know. I usually just say their name, say the nickname. It's usually abbreviated, and you know, writers are lazy people, so we prefer to have short names. That's why that's why most main characters and characters in books don't have long names unless they're the bad guy. And that's okay because, well, you usually don't refer to the bad guy that often in a story unless it's one of those books where there's a lot of them. Mike helped Franz to his feet. The man could walk and was completely uninjured. Could you give me play-by-play? Mike requested, even though he was pretty sure he could piece together what happened on his own. They encircled us. We got in close with scouts and snipers about the hills around here and cut loose. Franz said. That was the start. It wasn't long for a bloody panic. Said even before the tanks rolled up and started blasting people, place apart. Soon it was just their tanks, and nobody had. The AT guns went too. The AT guns went too, and the guys with the handheld AT couldn't hack it. Couldn't crack enemy vehicles. What sort of other vehicles were in play? Mike asked. Mike could spied some wrecked AT guns about the perimeter. They must have. Didn't look like their crews died close by. They're ripped apart by the same tank shells that got their guns. Guns. Yeah, for the first time in a while, I started a little earlier than usual, but, you know, I had trouble with YouTube, and that ate up some time. Naturally, every time you try to get a little ahead, folks, something just pops up, some stupid stuff, you know? tells you your video is private. Like, I didn't want my video to be private. Too bad, it's private. He says, just say I'm all the public or something. Who cares? How many people want frickin' private videos anyway? There's people who are just editing, I guess. I don't do much editing of my books. I mean, my YouTube videos. I try to do a lot of editing with my books, even as painful and headache-inducing as that is. I really need an editor. AI or human, I don't care. Just get me something. The crews died close by, ripped apart by the same tank shells that got their guns. Castle cars, half tracks, some jeeps. Franz replied, "Oh, the men moved them up very quick. All MGs, geez, blazing. It was like one of those, some SAS raid in the deserts in the last war, and the one before that. Yeah. When's my first mention of Jeep? Should check if they have them in World War I. I don't think they had them. Military vehicles were kind of a new thing back then. And then before that, yeah. Mike said. Yeah. Yeah. And, yeah, what about, then asked, what about mortars and what about mortars? They rained some of that on us. Which added to the panic. Franz replied, before we knew it, they were storming. Did I mention any craters? Alright, they were storming the place. Camp, and thus feel like I'm doing some Lord of the Rings kind of stuff where someone says something third party. Well, I wasn't even planning on doing this, folks. I was gonna originally delete this whole part. Like, I mean, as in the outline and not even bother writing a word of it. But, you know, guess I should dip in easy. I mean, this is like the start of a new book from my point of view. Even though it says page 820, you know. It's easier to do this because I have a lot of editing to do with this one. You know, we'll divide them up into other books later, maybe. Before we knew it, they were storming the camp and raising hell. Everybody, mostly everybody gave it their all. Real shooting, and it was very up close and personal. People shot right in the belly. The belly with the barrel right right against it. Knives going in the throats or eyeballs, sockets. Grenades taking out whole squads. They take any prisoners? I guess. No, down to one. Franz replied. Ice. Sounding a little more weary. The introduction of the villain is important to a story, folks. Should make a big impression, you know what I mean? I think one of the things I'm having trouble with this story is because there's like no central villain, pretty much. There's nobody to really hate in a big way. I prefer to have a slew of villains in a story so you can kill them off like their protagonists, because, you know, protagonists shouldn't be the only ones to die in droves. The bad guys should die too. They should die like dogs. No, not one. Just me. I escaped by pretending to be dead. The Jade killed everybody. All the wounded. They found, then pulled out. They pillaged our ammo and medical supplies. They were out of here. You're only 5 minutes. 10 minutes. Is this night? I'm singing that song, The Man on the British Countryside. Not exactly the most rip-roaring song you can imagine, but, you know, feels kind of... I think I would, if I was writing a story about the invasion of Britain, like by German paratroopers, I think I'd have that on the soundtrack at some point. And in the background as they're fighting through some nice cottage-filled countryside of Britain, or, some sunny British town, you know, fighting in the storefronts and the bullets flying back and forth. They were out of here in only 10 minutes. They were out here only 10 minutes after the shooting stopped. After the gunfight stopped. How did our friends... How did the, Hellfighters do? Yes. Friends had a disdainful look then. I suppose they did as well as a small band can do. France noted. They only numbered a dozen. Mike had counted less than that. Shield, check their attire. Counted less than that. The missing ones must have been buried under the other dead. Or maybe they got blown to bits. Blown to bits. They fought hard and died. Rand said. Nonchalantly. For what we bloody paid them. They should. They should. They at least do that. Mike didn't see there. Meek. Didn't see. I missed Hamburger Day. I didn't have a hamburger. International Hamburger Day. What do we do if Hamburger Day falls on a Friday? All the Catholics won't be able to eat burgers. Except maybe fish burgers. A salmon burger is pretty good. I had those a few times. Usually for breakfast. Then I stopped kind of enjoying them. I'm not sure why. Maybe because they had a lemony taste, or it didn't taste that great. I mean, hamburgers don't taste that good to me either, but I think a salmon should taste good, you know? Something with salmon in it should taste nice. I gotta find out what the tastiest way to eat salmon is and stick to that, you know? Like one of those lobster rolls from Maine, maybe something like that would be nice. Salmon doesn't taste as good to me as it used to. I don't know why. Maybe did the salmon get tastier? Did the salmon get less tastier since I was young, or are my taste buds dying? My damn taste buds die on me, then my brain might as well die as well, because I'll have no reason to live. I like food. I'm a bit of a glutton, so to be denied food or tasty food, to me, that would be like, well, you know, like I guess like an alcoholic not being able to get their wine anymore, or some gambler, all the casinos closing down. Mike didn't see the countryside. Mike's man on the British countryside. He's not in Britain, but this is an island, technically, the Jade Continent. I didn't see the flag banners that the Hellfighters were known to carry about. Even a small group would have a flag with them. Some tradition left over from the war. Mike recalled the Japs. Yes, Mike uses the term Japs. He's a man of his time. I don't think I'd have him use the N-word. Yeah, I don't think so. It's like a very unsympathetic thing. And besides, Mike's not racist, so it wouldn't be appropriate. People who aren't racist usually don't use the N-word. I'm pretty sure progressive, people who are like considered themselves progressive back then, in the scale of schemes, like someone who thought that, like it may be like abolitionists, I think they still use that word. The more polite word, I think, was Negro or colored. That's weird. I heard, yes, that's NAACP. That's part of their name, I think. National Organization for Advancement of Colored People. And that word was, I think that word fell out of favor, and now it's coming back in Twitter or something. You know, I don't understand. It wasn't a politically, for a long time, it wasn't a politically correct word, and now it's coming back. I mean, I've never heard of a word being declared politically correct and then unpolitically correct. That just doesn't seem the way language works to me. We called the Japs, always had flags with them. They tied some tiny flags. They tied flag bandanas around their heads, noggins, and sometimes Mike saw flags tethered to the barrels of their rifles, a bit behind the bayonet. Mike wondered if the Hellfires would burn their flags before their defeat. Burn their flag before their defeat. Keep it out of enemy hands. Well, if a man fights with all his strength, what more can you ask of him? Mike muttered. I don't know. Please get me out of here. Mike. Franz requested. Mike took Franz back to... He had hidden his Jeep. Was he on foot? Did I mention him being on foot? Mike, were you on foot this whole journey? Mike and Franz grabbed himself a rifle back before they left the camp, and he rode shotgun. Mike wasn't expecting trouble on the trip back to HQ, and he was pleased to be right for once. Usually when he had a feeling that things were going to go smoothly, the opposite happened. People who knew Mike's by his reputation must have thought he never had a quiet mission. That it was always pure chaos, and everything that went wrong could go wrong. That was actually only the case for about half his missions, and that was about as good. And his batting average was thus better than a lot of guys who went to war. Batting, check. Nice drive through the countryside, Franz noted. Almost said Chromish countryside by accident. I understand, Mike replied. The climate of The Jade continent was pretty close to Europe. Someone just driving through these woods might think, someone's driving through these woods, might think they were in southern England. Chromia. Not some land very far, or some part of Europe. Not some Asian continent, home to one of the scariest races of people who ever lived and breathed. Mike was glad most of them were keeping calm through this crisis. Not many people had joined the uprising. A lot of people from Jade joined in on this fighting, then we wouldn't be here right now. Like I said, we would have been booted off, planning a new D-Day of operation. Friends chuckled at that little D-Day. I think we're beyond such grandiose operations. Franz replied. A big landing would probably land 100 different places at once. Let the copters take point for us, or maybe nukes. Mike muttered. Nukes on Jade soil. Franz jeered. Now that would turn population against us. Maybe even if the nukes were deployed by the Jade rebels. Right. Mike agreed. A half hour later, Mick dropped off Franz at the HQ, and he went HQ. I gave some brief statements. Told his superiors what happened. He didn't have time for a full debrief. He had to get back to Black Strike. Yeah. The newly formed special unit tasked with dealing with the crisis on the Jade continent. I got into the communications tent and got on the line. Captain D. His main subordinate. "You need back here, Chief," D told him. "We have a situation at a research facility here on the continent." "Oh boy. How bad is it?" Mike asked. "Pretty damn bad," D replied. But, to get in a copter, to get back here, we gotta get over there as soon as possible. Swell. muttered. Okay, on that note, let's end here, folks. Have a nice day. Sayonara.